First off, thank you for sitting down with me. I know audiences across the Imperium and far beyond have waited lifetimes to hear your words. Let's begin at the very beginning. Not the Great Crusade, not the heresy, but before all of that. How old are you really? Were you born like any other man? Or were you created, forged for a purpose beyond mortal understanding?
Humph. A question asked by many, but answered by few. And yet, for the sake of truth, or what fragments of it can be borne by mortal minds, I shall answer. I was born, in a sense, over 48,000 years before the current age of the Imperium, in a time you now call prehistoric Terra. Not to a mother and father in any conventional sense, but as the culmination of a great sacrifice, the gestalt soul of thousands of shamans, the last of humanity's true psychic guides, who chose to die together in ritual so that their souls might be reborn as one. That one was me. I was not forged in a laboratory, nor summoned by gods. I was shaped by human will, by desperation, and by hope, an answer to the rise of chaos, which even then had begun to slither into the cracks of reality. My form was human, my essence something else entirely. I remember each life that merged into me. Thousands of voices became one will. Their power gave me longevity. Their wisdom gave me patience. Their burden is mine to carry still. So yes, I was born, but I was also made. Do you understand now? I am not the product of a single event. I am the inevitability of humanity's need to survive in a galaxy determined to devour it. Next question.
You lived for thousands of years while humanity tore itself apart. Wars, empires rising and falling, entire civilizations lost to ignorance and bloodshed. Why did it take you so long to act? Were you waiting for the perfect moment? Or were you simply watching, content to let us suffer until you decided we were worth saving?
Do not mistake silence for apathy. I walked among mankind as one of them for millennia, not because I was unwilling to act, but because I had to understand them. Humanity, in all its brilliance and madness, is a species capable of both godlike creation and abyssal cruelty. You do not shepherd such a race by declaring yourself their god from the start. That breeds stagnation, dogma, rot. So I watched, I learned, and when the time came, I nudged events. Quietly, subtly, I advised kings and slew tyrants. I seeded ideas that would take centuries to grow. I whispered truths behind the thrones of empires long forgotten. I was every philosopher who taught freedom, every warrior who fought for unity, every shadow that defended humanity from itself. But humanity was not ready. They would have burned me on a pyre or raised me as a god long before they were capable of grasping what I truly was. And either path would have doomed them. I waited, because time was my ally, and impatience would have cost us everything. The age of strife proved that even with all my influence, the galaxy could drown in madness. That was the proof I needed. When the warp storms broke, and Terra lay in ruins, then, and only then, did I unveil myself. Not as a messiah, not as a god, but as a warlord. Because that is what humanity needed to survive what was coming. Do you still believe I waited out of cruelty? Or can you now see? I waited out of love. A terrible, pragmatic love, but love nonetheless.
You say you love humanity, that everything you've done was to protect and uplift us. But when you finally did act, it wasn't with compassion. It was with war. The Unification Wars weren't a peaceful coming together, they were a purge. Entire cultures were wiped out, millions slaughtered. If you're as powerful, as enlightened as we're told, why did it have to be so violent? Why not lead with persuasion, with unity and spirit, instead of through domination? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks less like love and more like a cleansing.
Spoken like someone who's never tried to hold a fractured species together at the edge of extinction. Let me ask you this. When a building is on fire, do you sit with the people inside and sing them songs of hope? Or do you drag them screaming through the flames, even if they hate you for it, because it's the only way they'll live to see the dawn? Terra was not a garden waiting to bloom. It was a corpse picked clean by techno-barbarians, psychers gone mad, and the dregs of humanity ruled by superstition, mutation, and fear. The age of strife didn't just scatter our people across the stars, it shattered their souls. Entire nations worshipped warp entities. Some practiced slavery, cannibalism, or worse. They weren't simply lost. They were willingly damned. You cannot debate with that. You cannot reason with a flame about why it should not burn. So yes, there was blood. Rivers of it. I do not deny this. I do not regret it, because out of that blood came unity. A single, species-wide identity for the first time in history. A foundation strong enough to launch the Great Crusade. To bring lost colonies back under one banner. To stand, even briefly, as a light in the darkness. If you think I took joy in the purges, you are wrong. Every life extinguished was a weight on my soul. But the alternative was extinction. Or worse, slavery to the warp. You call it domination. I call it triumph. Sometimes, the wound is too infected to save the limb. And I will not apologize for saving the patient. Next question.
Yes, the world went to hell. Warp storms, anarchy, techno-barbarian warlords carving up Terra like meat. But you knew it was coming. You had the power to stop it long before it spiraled out of control. And still, you watched. Again. You let it all burn, let billions suffer, and only stepped in when the planet was already on its knees. So tell me, how much death is on your hands simply because you waited too long?
All of it. Every scream beneath a collapsing hive. Every child taken by warp-born horrors. Every city turned to ash. Every soul twisted by madness. Every death that came before I revealed myself. I carry them all. Do you think I sleep? That the Golden Throne is a place of rest? No, it is a tomb. And within it, I relive every failure. Every hesitation. Every moment I could have acted sooner and did not. But understand this, I am not omniscient. Even with the combined knowledge of 10,000 shamans, I could not see all ends. I knew the warp would grow restless, that mankind's psychic awakening would draw predators. But to intervene too early, before the storm fully broke, would have revealed me not as savior, but as tyrant or myth. Humanity would have rejected unity, or worse, enshrined me as a god. And that would have destroyed us far more thoroughly than any warlord ever could. The suffering you speak of? It was the crucible, not of my design, but of necessity. The galaxy itself forged the conditions. I did not let it burn because I desired flames. I let it burn because I knew that in the ashes, mankind might finally be willing to change. You call that cruelty. I call it the burden of foresight. To know what must be done, and to endure being hated for doing it. So yes, their deaths are on my hands. But so too is every human life that still breathes today. Would you have risked it all to save a few, and lost everything? Because I couldn't, and I didn't.
You've lived for tens of thousands of years. You've seen the rise and fall of empires, gods, and stars. You've waged war in the name of peace, silenced voices in the name of unity, and demanded loyalty in the name of love. And now, half alive and entombed on the Golden Throne, worshipped as a god you swore you'd never be, I have to ask, was it worth it? If you could do it all over again, would you? That's all the time we have. For now.
Was it worth it? That is not a question for me to answer. It is a question for you. I gave everything, my past, my name, my soul, so that humanity might have a future. Not a perfect one, not a painless one, but a chance, a single, defiant spark in the night. I did not seek worship. I sought endurance. I did not desire love. I demanded survival. And if I could do it again, I would. Not because it brought me peace. Not because it brought me glory. But because you're still here to ask the question. That is enough.